So, it's blueberry season. I just picked my blueberries from my bushes, and this is my first year to have them. They've been in the ground a couple of years, they're established, and this is the first year that they're actually producing enough to make anything with, and so I thought I would make a variation on my very, very favorite pie. There's a restaurant here in town, well, in the county, it's not in this town, that has a pie named after me. It's my very favorite pie. It's a peach and a blueberry pie, and it's got a shortbread crust, and it's got cream cheese in it, and it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm not gonna try and make it because I could just have it at the restaurant, and you could too. Come to town, come visit. But it did get me thinking. I've got these blueberries, and as you know, I went to Oxford, Mississippi last week, and last Saturday I went to their farmer's market and picked up some Mississippi-grown peaches. They grow them in places other than Georgia, who knew? They've been sitting about a week, so they're super soft. They're about to, turn. So I'm gonna make a pie with them. We had some the other day. They were just absolutely great. And let's make a blueberry peach pie. But there's a twist. This is our 10th anniversary week of Folk. And in our very first issue, fall 2011 issue, we printed for the first time. We've since done it twice, and we're gonna do a third in the best of issue. A cast iron skillet apple pie. Sandy did it in her column, and I thought, let's do a variation on that. This is one of my favorite pies. I make it all the time, regardless of the season. It's phenomenal to have, and it's just a great pie because it's in a cast iron skillet. You can't go wrong with cast iron. But let's try it with something other than apples. And if you only like apples, stick with the classic. But if you like peaches and you like blueberry and they're a winning combination, let's do this. So, close this because it's a collector's item. In this bowl, I've got 4 peaches sliced. There were some bad spots, so I had to cut around those. So I've probably like 3 good-sized peaches, peeled, sliced. I've got this cute little Longaberger basket of blueberries, which I would say is probably 2 to 3 cups. Remember, you're doing this in cast iron, so it's going to be larger. This is an 8 or a 9 inch cast iron. It's going to be larger than an 8 or 9 inch pie pan. So you're going to want to compensate for that, but hey, if it's shallow, totally fine. I've also added a teaspoon of vanilla to this, which I just think adds a nice hearty, heavier flavor. And I like, if you ever had our peach pie jam that we have on our website, or if you've had the cast iron skillet, you know I really like those warm flavors. So this is going to be a very warm pie. We've got our dry ingredients here. So the thing that we're really going to have to change, and it's really, really key with any blueberry pie, you have to add flour or cornstarch. Otherwise, you're just going to have a very runny pie, especially if you're using fresh strawberries. I have used a ½ cup of flour or cornstarch. It's really not going to make much of a difference. You're just wanting something that's going to absorb the liquids and make it stable. So I actually did both because I wanted to see how it turned out. I've got about 1/4 cup of flour and about 1/4 cup of cornstarch. The great thing about these pie recipes, there's no real science to it. They're going to turn out. You might just be serving it with a spoon, or you might be serving it with a very firm wedge. Either way, it's going to be great. So as you make this more often, feel free to make it sweeter or spicier or saltier or savorier or whatever you want, based on what you like. Anyways, there is also a tablespoon of lemon juice in this. It's gonna help with the, warmth. And blueberry pie always calls for lemon juice, always. In our cast iron skillet, we've preheated our oven to 350, and we've got a stick of butter and a cup of brown sugar underneath the crust. So what we did was we put that in there, popped it in the oven while it was preheating without the crust. Don't put the crust in. If you can see this, you can see I've already added it to make the video easier. Don't do it. You don't need to line bake this crust. You're just gonna make a mess. Get that melted, pop it back out while you're mixing these ingredients, and then you're ready to mix these and throw it in. This is a very, very quick thing. So I'm just gonna dump the dry ingredients on top of the wet ingredients, and we're just gonna stir that. You can smell the vanilla. It smells fantastic. You can watch me make a mess. And you don't really even have to do a super strict incorporating of this. You're just going to get those flavors incorporated, or kind of coated on your blueberries and your peaches. You also don't want to overbeat this because these are soft peaches and they're going to break down really fast, which is going to make them, won't break down, but it's also going to make them juicier. And so you're going to then, you know, we're trying to keep this from being a super juicy pie. We want it dry. We don't want it dry, but we don't want it runny. So we've got that mixed. That's it. And now we're going to pour this in our shell, which is actually our skillet. You can tell that it's warm. So we're going to pour this in. And I love a really humble looking pie. I do not make anything fancy. This is a farmhouse. This is a farmhouse kitchen. So you can crimp it, you can make it pretty. I don't care. I like it looking really rustic. That brings me a lot of joy. I just want to get the rest of that. You can use a spatula, but I think you get the point. You don't need to see me do that. And then we're just going to smooth this out. My glasses keep falling off because it is humid. It's the south. It's the summer. Those are all the ingredients. And then we're just going to do a lattice. And I would typically, for this recipe, because it is like a summer pie, I would use like a Jif mix, or I'd make my own crust. But I'm just using a store-bought roll-out pie shell because it works really well for this cast iron. So you can do either. What I did was I just unrolled it, and I have a pastry slicer that I made a cute little wedge wheat with, whatever. So we're gonna do very humble because I actually need more crust to do this properly. But this is for Sunday supper, so it can be humble because I'm the one who cooks it all. Don't come if you're gonna judge it. So, anyways, we're gonna keep going, and I should do small talk, but I'm not going to. So, because I have to concentrate. Anyways, I love a pretty lattice, but I'm usually too lazy. So I will usually just sling it down on top, poke a few holes, and call it good, because it's going to be delicious. I want things to look pretty, I want things to look great, I want things to look homemade, but when it comes to presentation on food, it's not the Food Network. We just want it to be good. We want it to be good because that's the secret to any southern meal, is the food is good. We just cook better down here. There's a lot of things we don't do right in the South, but we do cook well. So this lettuce is, I think it's done enough to suffice and to appease me. You can keep going if you would like, but if I keep going, I'm going to get this weaving off. So, you know, you can make cute little pastries or whatever you want for the center. Make a little flower. This is not gonna look like flour. Pop. We're done, that's all. Now it's gonna pop in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. If you wanna keep your crust super beautiful, melt a tablespoon of butter, brush it on with a brush. I'm not going to. You can also do the same with 1 egg yolk. Just brush it on. Cover this with aluminum foil to keep it from over browning. Pop it in the oven and 45 minutes to an hour till it just feels tender but also feels set. The secret to a good blueberry pie and serving a good blueberry pie is let it sit overnight. Let it really set up. Because no matter how much flour or cornstarch you put in it, if you serve this right away, it's going to be runny. But if you let it set overnight, it's going to congeal beautifully. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven, and I'm gonna pop a pretty photo up here, and we're gonna call it a good day.